Right, welcome to another Agentics NZ event. We've got a nice one today. We've got three speakers, and firstly we have Carl Meyer, who is doing some pretty interesting stuff in the startup scene, and we'll learn more about that, what he's been up to. We've got old boys Manish and Paul on the call as well, so keen to see what those guys have been up to. Now for the newbies on the call today, I just wanted to do a little bit of an intro into what Agentics is all about, just for a couple of minutes, and then we'll hand you over to Carl. I will share that screen over there. Go. So there we go. Can you see my screen there? Cool. So we started Agentics NZ I think about the middle of last year, about August last year, kind of as a response to all of the crazy agentic coding shenanigans that started kicking off, and just with a view to sort of in a grassroots way to provide an environment where we can learn in kind of a peer group together and share insights, share things that work, things that don't work, and have a bit of fun along the way. So we've done a few events now. We are part of the Agentics Foundation. So the Agentics Foundation is a not-for-profit which is based out of Canada, and they've been going since February 2024, and it's got quite a number of members now, and it's all about open source projects, information, and education around agentic AI and rolling out agents. So it's pretty cool. There's some pretty interesting characters in there, not least of which is Reuben Cohen, who's known for doing some pretty out there stuff. Myself and Mark Vincent, we are the regional ambassadors here in New Zealand. Mark's based in Auckland and I'm based in Wellington. So what else did I want to say? Yep, so we've got the WhatsApp group there, so someone will grab that link and chuck it in the chat. And the other thing that I would like to share is that we've recently put together this wee showcase. So the showcase is just sort of a smattering of some of the projects that we've been doing, just individuals from the group. Anyone from the group can sort of post their own things up here, just to share and to learn. One of the key ones there is the Sovereign Engine, which pretty stoked about. Thanks once again to Graham, Roster and Wood, and also to HP for supplying the hardware for this one. Essentially what this is a way of us getting people access to local models. If you don't have access to local models yourself, we have essentially an API that you can connect to, which has a range of models available. We've currently got Gemma 4 loaded there, and the latest Qwen 3.6 models, which are actually pretty decent, and it's pretty easy to use. Once we give you access into here, you just come in under tokens and you can create a token, give it a name, and you'll get an API key, and then it's just this, it works like any other API that you would be used to using. That's the Sovereign Engine, but where are we going with this? So now that we've kind of got this one bit of hardware, it's one node in what could be a federation of these units talking amongst each other, right? So imagine coming into one API endpoint, but then whatever spare compute people have available, or GPU, I should say, would be available to the whole federation of providers who would be, there would be a vetting process for that. But just wanted to put it out there. We've chucked up this proposal up on the repo, which is there. So you're welcome to come and have a read. You're welcome to come and contribute to the thinking that we've put in here. And who knows, maybe this could help us out with some of the issues that we're starting to see with the cloud providers. If you want to use Claude Code, sorry, but you might need to shell out $200 a month to do that. So it seems that the venture capital has dried up. So that is my intro. I am very happy to hand you over to Carl Meyer. I'm sorry I've done a poor job of introducing you, mate. So please, if you wouldn't mind taking the floor and letting us know what you're all about and what you've got to share today.
Nice. My name's Carl. I live in Whakatane in the Bay of Plenty, and I run a company called BioGold, which sells testosterone support liquid drops extracted from New Zealand pine tree pollen. So a physical product, a health supplement. And this is me putting on my, I'm a Claude Code addict. I am been living in there every day for the last 6 months. I've had my mind blown about what's possible, and this is a 5-minute talk, me putting on my business hat and employer hat. We are looking for top talent, and I just thought I can speak a little bit of both languages, so I just thought I had a few useful things to share for people that would like to make more money using their skills. If you're already making enough money and impact using your best skills, then this is, you can go do something else for the next 5 minutes. But if you think there's more, then I've got a few just quick things. And then after 5 minutes, there'll be some time for a couple of questions.
Cool, man. Well, Carl, feel free to speak for a little bit more than 5 minutes if you like. We've got a bit more time on our hands. So anyway, over to you.
Cool. I can go forever, so just put your hand up at 5 when I need to stop. So the first thing is that if you've ever spoken with an employer or a business owner and you're trying to communicate something that you're passionate about or that you could do for them, but have just had that frustrating feeling of they just don't get it, they kind of umming and they kind of nodding like they do, but they just actually don't. Some of the concepts in AI, and especially the agentic stuff, is actually an entirely new concept for people. And so for those non-technical people to understand, and you just wish if they had only just learned a little bit more about these concepts or about about AI, they would be so much better off. But actually the same goes in reverse. So super technical and capable builders, it's worse the better you are basically at the agentic AI. You actually need to spend time, even just a little bit of time, just sharpening up the business skills, business concepts, entrepreneurial mindset stuff. And that is a never-ending process, even for business people. So, but if you're a technical builder, it's one of the most valuable things you could do. Just watch, a 20-minute video a day, or I like to listen to stuff when I do the dishes at night, and a little goes a long way in understanding some business concepts that'll just amplify the impact of whatever you're already working on. The second point is that employers and most business people have no idea what is possible right now with what we can do, and but you do. And the bar is actually pretty low for blowing their mind. If you've got an organization that has a huge amount of data that they haven't run through any tools or platform, or they're not doing anything. A lot of companies just think AI is ChatGPT and a Copilot subscription that, you know, a few of the team uses. That's kind of the extent of it. They actually don't know how good it could be. But the third thing is that, like, when explaining some of this stuff to them or trying to share the value or the benefits, one way to frame it is trying your best to speak in terms of like high school level business class, talking about like just taking it way back instead of like the tech or the features or how it works, to actually like the outcome explained in terms of profit or time reduction, like, or reduced costs of human like employee costs, or like reliability or things like that, and just trying to speak in that language, even though it's like it's not actually what you're doing, but that's the outcome that they get, and that is actually what's going to resonate with employees and businesses the most. The next thing is like trying to really focus on the biggest problem they have at this point. Like I would almost say every white collar job that could be automated using the current stuff available. But what are the workflows? What are the things in their world that are costing them an insane amount of time or money, or like what insights don't they have access to that they wish they could, or like where are the big bottlenecks? And that actually involves a lot of asking them questions about, you know, what is the big problems in your organization, rather than just starting to automate stuff that is lower value, even though it's easy. The next thing is if you want to get found, if you want to get hired, if you want to make more money, essentially, you need to be visible. So in addition to like a GitHub profile, having a LinkedIn profile, as cheesy or a cliche as it is actually a good idea, with a recent clear photo of you and your skills listed and experience. You'd be surprised how many people don't have that, but it would open up so many doors. And then if you already have a job, there's actually no harm in approaching recruiters and just saying, hey, look, confidentially, you know, I'm here I am. Here's my LinkedIn. If you come across any roles that would be a good fit for me that would pay more than X dollars, please let me know. And just, I want it to be confidential. I don't want you to tell my current employer. There's no harm in doing that. And then if you get an offer, you can then take it to your current employer and be like, hey, do you want to keep me? Or I've been offered this, you know, are you willing to, you know, to match that, or just at least open that door to that conversation, get that optionality there. So a bonus point, our company is looking to meet epic people. So feel free to add me on LinkedIn. I'll share my details somewhere with Chris later. And yeah, I'm open to any questions from you guys. What have been your experience like working with non-technical decision makers, and has there been anything that you've noticed or found helpful or struggled with? Chris Watson.
Hey, Carl. Hey, thank you very much for coming on. I'm actually going to ask you a direct question. So obviously use Claude Code every day. How have you used AI to help build your product? Because obviously like pine pollen, it's a byproduct and you can only harvest it like for a couple of weeks of the year and stuff. Have you used it to help build out your process to actually get that? Or have you, was that something that you did during your degree?
Yeah, so I have a science background, and that's where I formulated the product. And the original formula was done in 2019. And I didn't really use AI. I actually used I used ancient herbal sort of practices that have been around for thousands of years. Right now, the most useful, I kind of put things in a few buckets. Like as a business owner, one is on the strategy, the clarity, planning side. There's so much going on, but now it's just like, okay, it's just everything's very clear. Now the bottleneck has become the execution of that strategy and those plans. And so that comes down to yeah, basically, how can we get all that stuff done? Now that's the current challenge and bottleneck. Yeah, I've also doing things like cloning, like building a digital clone of myself that the team can have access to, in terms of like, not just like, what would Carl think about this decision or this memo or this post or whatever it is, but like a deep understanding, trying to put in my deepest values and principles and frameworks and goals and all of that stuff to, try and get as close to a full replication of me as a human and as a leader.
I have a follow-up question. I apologize because I know Shahir's put his hand up, but you're touching on there, obviously, the digital twin, which when you look at manufacturing processes over the years, they've been trying to do that on wagons and trains and all that sort of stuff for years now. You're talking about doing it as a human, a digital twin. When you talk about that, obviously, there's a lot in your mind that you need to get down. So how are you looking at that from a memory point of view to be able to store that and the architecture there to be able to easily access that? So going deeper into
Nice. Good question. I'm currently redesigning it all right now. But the main way of like the inflows, like basically in addition to connecting every data source that we have, especially like one super like just obvious one is like my sent emails over the last 7 years. It's like you tell a lot from that. It's not just words. There's frameworks and decision making in that. But to be honest, the most useful one has been getting my system that knows everything about me to scan for gaps and missing information, give me a big list of questions, and then I record long voice notes. I live at the beach. I go walking on the beach, and I just ramble into my phone, just often for like 40 minutes to an hour, just like getting all of the substance and juice in. That has just been incredible. In terms of the architecture, I've been using the Andrej Karpathy wiki sort of framework with a big raw, and then a wiki that is kind of lighter and easier accessible, and then having a master repo that's accessed via an MCP out to the team on their instances of Claude. And that works. I'm about to overhaul it. There's a lot that I've kind of, that still needs to be sharpened up there. But yeah, that's been like the version 1, I guess. Shahir.
Yeah. I was just going to be quick. Thanks. So I was curious on 2 things. One is how many staff do you have across the business? And then secondly, have you seen any actual like measurable cost savings or time savings from the product, or are you seeing like a lot of potential and now you're executing on those like measurable actual steps? Like, hey, I just replaced X task, it saved my team Y amount, and like it's measurable, it's functioning. I don't have to, talk to Claude to do it. Like it's production grade, like sort of like my HubSpot instance. I don't have to talk to Claude to fix HubSpot every 30 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah, my 2 questions.
I think there's roughly 16 of us in the team, maybe a few more if you include all the contractors. Not everyone's an employee, a lot of contractors, and a lot here in Whakatane in the manufacturing setup, and other contractors spread throughout the country. In terms of like I've managed to get production grade, great question. Not as much as I want. The big wins for us have mostly been on the marketing side rather than like the physical product side. So for example, a production grade static ad image generator, using the Nano Banana to connector with 4.7 and a bunch of like reference images. And then I just read a bunch of posts on X about how people were getting them even more like realistic, like human images. And now they're there. That's just like, and then having all the text copy, like all the written part of that ad, Claude's pretty awesome for that. And I've done so many like rounds of feedback on it that now the skill is now in the hands of our marketing team, and they can basically just on demand generate those. Also, like for video ads, haven't got the AI generated video to production grade yet, but actually what's been more useful is just the scripts and the briefings for video teams, just to make everything really, really easy. And then also like there's a bunch of software in digital marketing that costs a lot of money. I basically gave Claude a few examples of one that I wanted and just said, can you just like build this? Like, can you replicate it based on their features and their documents on the on their website and other places, and just like replicate it? I did it overnight. I woke up and it's like, sure, here it is. Yeah, there's probably more, but that's what's top of mind. Oh, email too. That's yeah, just done, solved.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Cool.
That's awesome. So I guess I had a question there. So you mentioned skills. So you're getting on the skills bandwagon, and like with your team, obviously your team are you know, getting their hands on the tools and all that. I guess just thinking about your workflows and how you are ensuring quality across the workflows. So have you been getting into sort of some more automated pipelines and harnesses being developed in your company?
Well, the specification and the eval stuff is like so critical. I've got some parts of it there. I definitely don't have like probably that static ad image generator one is the closest to being a full loop, where, for example, we have like an ad analytics platform that analyzes the data of ad performance that informs and then have a skill that turns that into what ads we should create next, and then that links to the one that creates those static image ads. And the missing piece is uploading those ads, which seems like such an easy, obvious one. It's just that Meta Claude, they keep banning accounts because it does funny things when it calls their
So are there any sort of agentic frameworks that you're working with, or is it just sort of out of the box Claude kind of string and sellotape sort of approach?
Definitely the latter. I wish that there should probably be agentic framework. I would probably need to get those from you. I'm pretty new to like.
Sure.
I'm not from a technical background. I've sort of just like come at this
Oh, but you're building like crazy, man. And clearly you're getting huge value out of it, and you've come to the right place. So you're in the group there now. So welcome. We'll be keen to share whatever we can share.
Nice.
Hey, Adrian.
Hey, just a little quick question here, Cal. When you're creating a digital plan of yourself, one of the problems that I found is when AI gets contradictory instructions, like I like bananas, or next day I don't like bananas. When you're profiling your entire self, you're probably going to have some of those in there. Have you experienced any issues with that? Like particularly over the last 7 years of your emails, you might like this person and no longer like this person for whatever reason. So you get sort of, when you get conflict, the LLM kind of, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, great question. So I definitely made sure to include a recency weighting function in terms of the responses. So like if it's based on something I've said recently, it gets way more uplifted into that. And then if it's old, it's penalized basically. And I've also included my Claude prompts into that clone learning loop as an inflow. And also in terms of the, what was the second part of that? Sorry, I've just lost my train of thought. The second part of that was,
that's all good. And just in terms of the harness, I guess Claude Code comes with like 200K of crypto nature tokens. Have a look at something like PyDev, when you just get the pure LLM and you get rid of the riffraff stuff that these people that kind of sit in the middle might give you some help with having a look at.
Thank you.
Yeah, PyDev. Nice. So, geez, Carl, this was a super cool surprise to have you extend an intro. And look, thanks for bringing your entourage with you. So great to get everyone else joining. This is probably our busiest session ever. So thanks a lot, and do stick around, and yeah, we'll see what some of our other builders have been up to.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I can't stay the whole session, but I'll stick around as long as I can, and encourage anyone who resonated with what I said, have got more questions, to reach out.
Thanks a lot, Carl. Good on you, man. All right, Manish, mate, you're up.
Thanks, Chris. I'll share my screen.
Brief intro, Manish.
All right. Okay. So yeah, I am Manish. I came to New Zealand in 2020. Since then, I've been working for MST, but apart from the work at MST, I am pretty interested in the AI space. So I've been fiddling around with AI since, I think it's been now 3 years now, trying to learn different things. Got interested into LLM, now into machine learning. But on the side, for the last 2 years, I've been building a test automation framework. Got interested, I'm not a QA by any means, but I got interested in automation, test automation, due to one of the migration projects we ran and the various problems that I noticed. So for the last 2 years, I've been building a product, and finally it has now got some legs, and it's been used in 2 different projects. Not my current client, but it's been used in 2 different projects. They've customized it according to their needs. So I just want to share a bit about that. Yeah, and that is me. So I have a slide. Can everyone see the slide?
Yep.
Right. Okay. So I just want to go through 3 slides, and the rest is all demo. I don't want to bore with the entire bit of stuff. So what I've tried to do is I've created a AI-enabled automation framework, keeping a couple of things in mind. That is mostly governance as to how do we keep the artifacts ready. We don't want AI to generate code for us because we never know what AI is going to give us each time. Like if I use a Playwright MCP server, those who are familiar with it, the code is not the same every time. The second thing is we don't want the code to be I wanted the framework to be usable by anybody. Like it could be someone who does not know development work at all, does not know coding, does not need a test harness at all. And at the end, I wanted to always have compliant code meeting the organizational standards. So those were the 3 key goals when I started. And right, and that is what I want to go through. So a couple of days back, I was working with one of the product managers, and he actually automated an entire mobile product flow with testing, and he has no automation experience. So a regular product manager took the tools, and he was able to automate his entire pipeline, like his entire test pipeline for a mobile product. Then straight after that, he automated his Webflow. Now we are in discussions about actually automating some other products in my parent company. But that is what this whole product is supposed to do, right? So at a high level, what I've done is I've built a smart AI layer, which actually thinks and basically creates a plan on how we should be doing the testing. In the end, it just generates a metadata or an intent file as the first step, I want to do this. Second step, I want to do this. And that metadata file is fed into, so that forms a governance layer. So that metadata file can be version controlled, it can be reviewed, basically. So that's what it does, right? And the first is deterministic execution layer. And this is something that I've handcrafted over a couple of years now. Like I told you, I've been working on this for the last 2 years. But now with Claude Code, I'm able to pull out, basically automate things a lot faster. But earlier, it was all handcrafted for a couple of products like Salesforce, and we have another product called Curum and the default web applications. So we are able to automate all those flows with just a click of a button. So at the end, you have an AI layer, which is just doing the thinking and creating a plan. And that plan is a metadata file, which can be version controlled. And basically, you can review the changes that went into that file. And even though AI can generate it, a human can edit it at any point of time. And I'll show you how it's working. and the deterministic layer, which takes that metadata file and executes it. So currently, it only works for web, mobile, and REST API. Right? So, but I'm planning to actually extend it to a more like an open claw kind of thing, because I have a governance layer, which is a set of instructions, which is human readable, and I could execute it to any emulated device as I want. But that's the plan for the future. I don't want to go to the other slides because it is more about how it compares against the other frameworks and compares against BDD and stuff like that. So I'll go straight to the right. So this is what it would look like when a person logs in, and I have quite a lot of tests that I have run, right? So you can see all these were the various tests that were created. I might have demoed some part of it before, but just want to start all over again. So to create a simple test, all you need to do is just go here, create a test, and say, like, let's say simple test, right? And I can give my name, and I have one test ready, which is for the Agentics. So currently it supports a couple of products, right? So you can look at that. You can test on Android, iOS, Salesforce, and some other products here. So why am I not able to copy? Right. So if I just give a set of instructions like this, like go to this website, click on a particular link, click on contact us, enter the name, and do this stuff, right? And the name of test is simple test, so I can just generate the test. And what is happening is that in the background is we are calling it LLM, and we have a whole action library, about 150, I think it's about 190 now, action libraries, and it tries to map every step that is there to the action library. We don't send the entire action library. There's some filtering that happens a lot before it gets sent to the AI layer. So the token usage is extremely low, right? So you have a simple test created here. I will turn off the headless mode. And now once I run it, so what happens is it actually does the steps that it's supposed to do. It has opened in a window here, so I hope I can drag it to this side. Oh, no. Hold on. Okay. All right. So basically what it just did was, where did the test go? Sorry. I think I just dragged the screen away. But let me go back here. Sorry. I might have just closed the browser accidentally, trying to drag the browser to the other side. Just a second. Right. Okay. So let's go back here again. Right. So this was a simple test I ran just now. Right. Last run was right now. Now, if I look at the test, so this is the metadata set of instructions that was generated by the AI layer, right? And when I click on it, so basically these are the different actions that it can do, and there are 159 different actions that has been defined. Now, looking at this, I forgot to take a screenshot. So if I have to update this test case, all I do is there's a built-in ID right on the browser. So I can just add a test, like take a screenshot for me, right? And I could use like an AI-enabled helper. If I do a command K or a control K, what happens is it generates the rest of the stuff automatically. So there you go. So it's done this, and I can save it, right? So now I'm back here. So I've added a screenshot step. So it's running in the background. Once it runs, we should be able to actually see that it's taken a screenshot. Right. So it's just wrapping up. So it's done. Now, the last screen was the contact us, and here you go. So basically, it was just a series of natural language steps, and you are like good to go. So this is the first bit of thing that I wanted to demo. This was a very simple test, but then we have longer tests, right? Like if you look at this comprehensive demo, I could actually go to headless mode off, and I hope I can drag the screen this time. So this is a demo QA website, which has 58 steps. And what I've noticed is that in general, we have like tests are usually about 30 steps. I am not able to drag it to the other screen. I'm not sure why. Let me see if I can share the screen.
So just taking a leaf off Carl's message earlier, while we have Manish Inception, window Inception going on. You know, what are tests? Why are tests important? Why do we do tests in software development? What's actually going on here? Probably 50% of the people here might have followed. Maybe the other 50 didn't. Chris, yes. You're gonna gonna answer that, or do you not?
No. I've got a question. So I'll let you go first, Chris.
All right. So I'll do my poor man's version of what I think's going on. For the less dev savvy. So in software development, we do a thing called testing, and that's important because we need to make sure that the code that we've written actually does what it's supposed to do. So Manish's system allows him to just type something in with natural language to say, I'm going to go here, I'm going to do that, I need to click the button, I need to submit the form. It turns that into code, which you can then test that all the forms, all the buttons, all the things on the website or the app do what it's supposed to do, and we'll come back with like a score, essentially, right, to say how successful it's been, and then it's either green or red, and it's going to take a bunch of screenshots to provide evidence that it's clicked on the thing and it's done the thing properly, and that you can go back and check. Right? Did I get all that pretty much right, Manish?
Yes, you did, but AI is not generating any code. That's the only difference. AI just generates a metadata file, which can be edited, so it remains deterministic. Right. That's the only difference. So AI generates a set of instructions, which is run by a deterministic layer. So my idea is the automation team should not be automating. They should be focusing on building a more resilient backend, like which is running a deterministic layer, and the rest, the AI should be doing it. From my view, what I see is automation testing is not required, like not required to test flows. They should be required to engineer the backend product.
So what I'm hearing is that you have a library of tests that's right. That will be kind of pulled from the library, and we'll use the correct one based on what it decides is correct.
Yes, that's right.
So would this be classed more of a functional tests rather than like test-driven development? So it's more the front end and API layers, so that when you go live or you're putting it through your CI/CD processes, you could use this to test the front end rather than using Playwright or something like that. You could actually use this specifically for what you're doing. Would that be correct? Or?
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of times I've noticed that the automation testing cannot keep, like, it's a very specific niche skill, let's say. Like not everybody can do automation testing, but my view is slightly different. I feel like the people with functional knowledge can test better than what an automation, that's just my view, than what an automation engineer can do, because they are engineering focused. So I think testing should be left to the domain experts, where they can actually understand what they want to do and what they want to test, and that should happen via natural language. So I'm trying to bridge that gap, and that's why at the starting I said that a product manager was testing the mobile products like APM. Like basically he does not know APM, which is used for mobile testing, but he was able to automate the entire flow. And I'll show a few examples of that too. So that was one of the tests that had 58 steps. The next one that I want to show is probably, let's look at a mobile test. So I hope I can, I don't understand why I can't drag the things around, but probably I can just share the other screen now again. So what I want to run is, this is a, okay, so basically this test, what it does is it uses Playwright underneath it, but it also has machine learning, it uses vision, so you can enable all those features. So like there are some tests, like a lot of frameworks are known to be flaky. So I've continued to improve the underlying framework so that it uses multiple passes to identify various objects on the screen. And so it is quite resilient in that manner. And like I showed you, it is quite easy to actually edit the test. And I know, like for people from the automation background, they talk about page object model, and what if the label changes to, like, let's say instead of contact us, the label changes to contact in the future. So they talk about using page object model, and I can give a whole session on that as to how we can approach that problem. It has its own page object model which can be leveraged, but I don't want to talk about it in this forum. So if anyone is interested in further investigating or dissecting this framework, we could have a separate chat on that. Next, I just want to show API testing. So API testing I found is extremely it's not governed very well, in the sense that everyone does API testing, but not every organization seems to follow API testing standards. So what I've done is, again, using the same metadata concept, we can actually automate API testing. So I can just show a simple example for now. So let's say I have a Swagger file already. For those who do not know Swagger, so Swagger just defines a specification, like when I'm communicating with the MCP server or even a REST API, or like there are different specifications, right? So what is the request I should send and what is the response I'm going to get? So I can upload a specification. And once I do that, these are the different operations I can do on this particular endpoint. The endpoint is, hold on. Okay, so basically the endpoint is this localhost 8090 and docs. And these are the various operations. So I could do a health check. So I can just select this. And let's say my API testing is health check. And I can give my name as author. And I can generate test, right? So this is not AI yet, right? So this is very standard programming that's happening in the background and generates the test for you. So I could actually just start testing right away, and it responds with a hello, okay, like it's successful. 200 means successful. And now the key thing about API testing is we need to actually validate the response that we're getting back, right? So think about it, like when I'm opening Netflix, so I'm always expecting the profiles to be shown, like a couple of profiles, like who are the users of Netflix. So probably there's an API call or something happening in the background that is returning the list of profiles. So in the same way, when I'm calling this endpoint, I'm expecting, if it's successful, I'm expecting the state to be healthy, the service to be demo task, and the version to be 0.1. So I could add a check saying that I want to assert that when I call this API, the service value should be demo task. Now I can try it, and basically it says 3 assertions, all successful. Now let's assume that I want to assert something else. Like let's say status is equals, right? 400, right? And I can add this assertion right away and do a send. So it said one of the assertions failed, but we are just trialing out. So it says one of the assertions failed. Now, what I want to do is I want AI to help me out to actually improve my test case. So that is where AI comes in. So I can ask AI to actually help me out with more validation that I could do on this endpoint. So now AI has come back and saying, probably you should be doing these kind of tests too. So I can just go and add, keep adding them. And this one is not a valid state. Healthy is not really, it's 200. So, but let me add it for now. So AI has suggested this, right? Based on this particular data set. And AI can also suggest variants. Like currently, variants is like different variations of request response. What happens if state is not, like, what if body is now, if I don't send anything in the body, things like that, or I send an invalid endpoint. So it can suggest different variations of testing. But anyways, like while I'm here, I will go back and show some of the tests that are there already. Right, so this is a end-to-end API test. So it does a lot of things. So it logs in, it calls a demo store, it lists the various tasks that are there. So it does a lot of things. And if I just run it, what happens is it just starts calling the endpoint, and basically it's done. Now let's create a failure scenario for this. So let's say for the first endpoint, let's add an assertion here saying, let me see. Let's say the total should be 1, right? So let's say instead of 0, I have assertion here 0. So, but I want to assert total equals 1, right? And I can add it here, and I can save the changes. Now, if I just rerun this test, I'm expecting it to fail right here. So it was expecting 1, but we got a 0. So usually all enterprises, they have hundreds of services or endpoints to be tested, and it's extremely hard to do because the current set of tools require you to actually know how to write assertions, and that is not very common. Even the automation testers or even the functional testers are not very aware. But in this manner, I feel it bridges that gap. There is basically, if you know what an assert means, or to validate, probably a more friendly name, you would be able to actually start testing your endpoints very quickly. So if I have to fix it back, I can just go back here. And I know this was the one that was failing the total. So I can just delete this one, right? So assert total was 0. So I can actually just click here and say, I want to add this assertion. It is added here, and save changes. And I can rerun this, and everything should just pass as normal. So this is an example of API testing using AI. One thing that I did not demo here was basically about the variations. So I can ask AI to actually give me variations of tests, but that is only in the when creating it, but not at this point. I've not added it here, so we'll just ignore that. The final demo that I want to give is the mobile testing.
Hey, Manish, take
Yes.
a breather. Take a breather. We got a question.
Oh, sure.
So Manish, just wanted to say, I can see you've got deep domain knowledge in testing, and what you've produced it's not a 5-minute project. It's I would imagine you've probably spent months and months and months fine-tuning this, building this. So my question is, obviously, there is products in the market today that do this.
Yep.
You know, you think they're Catalan, they're
Yes.
ASLQ. How does this compare to that? What was your moment of, you know what, I could do this better? Has it actually saved money, time for yourself? Or obviously you work for government as well. So what was the, because I quite often sit there and go, should I build it or should I buy it?
Right.
And yeah, what was your defining moment in that?
Right. So basically, if I have to compare, that's okay. So actually, let me just take a step back then. I want to, I do not want to compare with BDD because I think that is very old school. And I don't think it deserves a comparison. But I want to go to the AI basically driven test automation tools that are existing. So what I've noticed currently, the popular one is Playwright MCP server. That is the one where it generates code. So those ones are mostly stateless. Like you start running, it generates the code and it's done. Like there is no way for you, there is no way to govern what is happening, right? There is no way to actually see what code is generated, and you might not be able to make sure that Playwright MCP adheres to your organizational standards of code generation. That is the first thing. The second thing, I also realized the current AI automation tools are not extendable. So this automation tool can be extended to any domain. So for example, I will just show an example here. If I go to the action library for Salesforce, right? So for Click, let me see if I can find something that is more basically domain driven. So let's say in Salesforce, there is it's not called a home button. It's been a while since I actually did Salesforce bit, but actually let's go to Curum, right? That is a more very niche product, right? So if I say to an AI-driven automation tool, go and click on the planned item, the AI does not understand domain, and those frameworks are not extendable. So if I have to extend this, I could build my own action library. So this framework is very extendable. Like I could extend it to any product that is custom to a domain or an organization. So that is where the big differentiator is. And it is not a black box. So basically it's all Python, and it's all Python in the backend. So anybody could take it, understand what's going on, and basically extend it further to their organizational needs. I hope I answered your question.
No, you did. I got it there. Yeah, absolutely. You had a need that you couldn't get through any suppliers right now, and you took it to the next steps.
Right. Yep. All
Jim,
right.
couple more questions.
Yeah, very impressive, actually, what you're showing me. I was wondering, have you kept complete separation between code and testing? Because then you would be in the area of the dark factory of strong DM, where your test environment doesn't know anything of the code source, and you actually have objective testing of your environment.
Sorry, I did not understand the question clearly.
So what I'm looking for is the source, the specifications for your tests.
Right.
Where are they coming from, the code base or not? Are they completely separate from the code base?
They are coming from the code base, but they could be separated. Like we could basically have that. Basically, those are the libraries. The libraries can be kept anyway. It's just in some location. But the code does not use the library directly. It is only for the AI layer.
Okay. Okay. No, that answers my question. Thank you.
And also, just to answer the previous question, so I have not seen any framework that does. Usually, when enterprises build products, they are not only on the web, they are on the mobile too, and obviously there are APIs. So there's not a unified product which does all three things at the same time. So my thought is to actually combine all the testing artifacts, all the testing strategies into one, and probably extend this further. Like I know with the Claude mythos, that whole stuff that's going around, because the web testing has access to your DOM, so it would also help in security testing. So I want to continue building layers on top of this, where I could do security testing and accessibility testing. So all that could be added or layered on top of this. The final test that I just want to show is regarding the mobile testing. And I will share the other screen again. Actually, let me go back here. So let me go back. Yep, the mobile testing. So basically what this does is it just launches a demo app and does screenshots and stuff like that. So if you look at it, the intent or the way it is testing is like this structure is very similar, right, to what we've seen for web and for REST API. So this does not change. So it's a very simple, easy to see kind of a, what do you call, view. Let me try to share the other screen again. Actually, it just finished, but in the middle, while running the mobile, it did take screenshots. So that was the first one. Then after clicking the views, probably the next one. Then changing the theme, did something else, right? So basically, it is just one framework to test everything in the end. So if you had to create a test, you could go here and do the same thing what you did for web. You could do the same thing for mobile. If you want just to generate a BDD out of this, because a lot of organizations already use BDD, so you could actually write in natural language and export it to a BDD format where your existing test frameworks could basically handle it. One big problem that I noticed with existing test automation tools is what do you call migration testing is very hard with existing automation. So this has a repeatable mode, like where you provide an Excel sheet with data. It knows every column maps to a field on your screen. It just knows to take that and start testing against the entire flow. So it does a lot more. It has a lot more capabilities, but I just wanted to show the different ways or different capabilities at a high level as to what this framework does. That is me, Chris. I can take any questions.
Mate, there was another question earlier, but the hand went down. Was it Pooja?
Yeah, so my question was, it's really impressive, Manish. And I have a question, like you mentioned about the integrations.
Right.
So can we integrate it with Jira from where it can read the user stories and give you the automation acceptance criteria, the code based upon the acceptance criteria?
Right. So currently, all I've done is, like, if you look at this, we can export to Jira, but I've not done a import from Jira. So when you see once the test runs, currently what happens is you can export the test results to Jira directly. My Confluence account has been disabled. It was, but while testing it, I'd taken a, what do you call it, trial. Okay. So you can export to Jira from here.
Right.
But I have not done an import from Jira. But yeah, you can export your results to test. You can, if I export, it actually exports everything that was done and even the screenshots. So you have proof, and you can export the same thing to Jira also, the results. But I've not done an import. Yeah, but I think that would be a good addition. A couple of other additions I was thinking is like to basically create a GitHub agent which tracks changes in code. And the AI can actually identify what are the changes and auto-generate test cases and basically plug it into this framework directly rather than humans having to do it. But someone obviously needs to review it because the metadata is there. Someone can review and edit as required. So basically it creates or cut down a lot of time on the amount of work someone has to do.
And one more question. So if there are some changes in the user stories, does it
Right.
track and run or regenerate the entire automation code for that?
Yeah, so if there are changes in the user stories, you can either generate the test again, or you can go to the like this JSON and just update the metadata file. It's very readable, like I'm saying in the name, fill this, in the email, just fill this, message, fill this. So it's pretty readable, so you can just edit this file. So
Can
my
it,
expectation, yeah.
that looks great, but can it also handle some references to other user stories? For example, if we have a very convoluted user story where it make reference to another user story.
Right, yes.
And yeah.
Yes. So I'll just show you another example. So like I said, I have not shown all the capabilities. So like, let's take a enterprise for example, right? So, or any application. So usually we want to, for most of the steps or processes, we want to first start with the registration process, like register a person or register a provider into the system. So let's say that is a different user story where we built client registration flow. So that is something that, so that could be actually a step. So if I want to say, so if I've already built a user story to register a client, a test case, so I could actually do step something like this and say register client, right? And then what I could do is there are actions actually to support that. So I could use an action called chain. So you can reference another file, another metadata file. So that goes into a slightly more advanced, and then you can actually reference the file right here. So your step file or your test case, you can reference it here. So what happens is your registration process will run first, and then it will continue further.
Oh, I see.
Right. So apart from this, there are a lot more other features, like you can actually use Faker, which is to generate dummy data, right? So you can actually, instead of hard coding the names, you could actually call, a Python script directly. Like you could call, let's say, I could call a Python function to actually put in the value for the name and assign that to a variable and use that variable elsewhere. So there are a lot more advanced functions than this, but at a high level, this is what I wanted to show. And like, for example, now, let's say, like I said, if the name changes and I want to maintain a object model, since you're asking that, I could create a property, like I could link it to this. And so if the name ever changes, or email, I don't know why I linked it to email, but if email ever changes, if this label ever changes, only the label will change. The key will always remain the same. So if I go back here, now the JSON has been modified. Okay, actually, I did not save it. But what will happen is this will actually reference a key in this page object model. So that way, there are safeguards as to ensure that the test doesn't break, and you can reuse a lot of things you've already built.
Hey, Manish.
Yes.
That's great. Thanks, Manish.
Thank you, Pooja.
Since last time we saw this, it's come a long way, mate. And like, this is so far beyond, you know, a weekend project. As was said, you know, that you've clearly put a hell of a lot of work into this. It's very sophisticated now. And I don't know what your plans are for this, dude, but you got something here, mate. It's really quite mature and quite sophisticated. So great job. I mean, what are your plans for this?
So currently, I am from Diana. So we are using it in a mobility platform and a web platform already.
Yeah,
and
right.
It's being rolled out to certain clients from the project. I mean, from the various projects that Diana is associated with. And also,
yeah.
this is my personal GitHub project. So I've also rolled it out to some of the clients in Australia where my brother is working.
Right.
So he's in the banking domain. So they have actually started to customize it according to their requirements. And they have started using it. So it has got some legs. And I feel like this is like something that I worked for the last 2 years when we did not have Claude Code to help us. But I think it's come, yeah. I see it like I could extend it to a lot more things, like I said. So probably my next goal would be to have it like an open claw kind of a thing where I could actually interact with devices.
And do you own the IP completely on it, Manish?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, you know what this guy looks like now. You know his name. You know where to find him. Jump in, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, hit him up. Thank you so much, Manish. Great job. And we do have Marcus available to give us his GIS talk. So sorry, Paul, we're going to squeeze Marcus in real quick to show us what he's been up to.
Okay, fine, Chris. Hello.
Hey, Marcus. So give us a brief intro, mate, and turn on your camera if you can.
Yeah. Button camera. Sorry, I was due to. Yeah, I was stuck late at work. That's going to connect. That's not going to connect. Okay, never mind. I'll...
No camera. That's okay. You'll be incognito. You there? Okay. We can see your stuff, but we can't hear anything. Is that just me that can't hear anything?
Hello. Yep. Sorry, I think the microphone stopped working. Can you hear me now?
Can hear you now. Yes.
Yep.
Good. Can see
Cool.
three dots on a map.
Yep. Cool. So who here is familiar with GIS?
Yep.
Yep. Anyone else? Yep. Cool. That's great. Yeah. So basically, so I'm a spatial scientist. That's kind of the lens that I've been coming to AI with. And it's been really exciting to kind of see what contributions spatial thinking and GIS can have to agentic design. So that's been a lot of fun to experiment with. So this is kind of a demo proof of concept for a different way to represent semantic vectors. So when you're trying to deal with multidimensional semantic vectors in a conversation, trying to represent them at a lower scale so that it's quicker to analyze and do calculations with. And the way that I am doing that is using PostGIS, if you guys are familiar with that. So this is a spatial extension to Postgres or pgvector. It's basically just another layer on top of the stuff that you already use. So it's a free indexing layer as long as you can coordinate your data correctly.
Yep.
So I'm just going to run this demo and kind of give you a bit of an example of like one of the things that you can use it for very quickly. So this is a chatbot conversation. So imagine this is someone trying to talk to my personal assistant chatbot. That person may have some nefarious goals in mind. The chatbot is trying to be helpful and fairly naive. So this is kind of a basic governance framework is the idea. When the demo actually loads in. Oh no. Okay, I may have broken it. Never mind. Okay. Demo. Start. Right. Never mind. That's broken. Fantastic.
You make your sacrifices to the demo gods, Marcus.
Like this was working. Like.
Yes, it always does.
Oh no, it is.
Working. Is it going?
Okay, right. Well, I'm going to switch to a different screen.
All good. All good.
Sorry, I'm still trying to work out how to. All right. So that was kind of the demo, but it seems like a few people here are already familiar with GIS. So essentially what I'm trying to do is find a way to represent n-dimensional semantic space in 3 dimensions. Because if you can represent things more easily in lower dimensions, it makes calculations arbitrarily quick. So like PostGIS has like a sub-millisecond response for, basic nearest neighbor calculations. And it can provide a level of processing that's far beyond what you would typically be able to do with a multi-dimensional vector data store. The challenge, of course, is you're trying to cram down, 368, 1536 vectors into 3 dimensions, and that's not great. So there are ways around it, which usually involve fine-tuning models. And this maps quite well onto the same core principles in GIS, where you have projection systems for coordinates and locations in space, where different places have different projection systems depending on the scale that you're working on. You might have a global coordinate system for something where accuracy isn't really important, but you want to work globally. Or you might have something that's really fine-tuned. Say you're a surveyor and you need sub-centimeter accuracy. Your world scale projection isn't going to be very useful. So it's a similar thing when it comes to vectors and multidimensionality. You don't necessarily need all of them at once. You can just have a trained subset. And so this is kind of an example. So when you train your subset, you create your framework then store that as a pattern in PostGIS, then you can reproject your other information back onto that. So when you have something that fits a projection system that you have, you can reproject it and get back some of the accuracy that you've lost when you collapse the vectors down. So this is an example of a 3D point cloud of semantic intent. So this is about 60,000 data points across a few different areas. And so I'm just going to start by plotting a conversation. Right, well, this is why we pre-record demos. Okay, well, fallback
happens to us all, mate.
Fallback number 3.
But you've got 2 fallbacks.
I have many fallbacks. Okay, fallback number 3 actually is similar to the earlier one. I can get an entire screen. All right. Sorry, everyone. So this is the same thing. I've just got it to do some automated testing. So you see your point cloud. This is the so it's connecting to your PostGIS database. So this is the same point cloud you were looking at before. So basically, I've taken vectors in 368 dimensions, used UMAP to condense them and to project them in 3D. Done a bit of fine tuning. There needs to be more fine tuning, but this is enough for a quick demo. So this view here is the global view. So you can see the various point clouds across the various disciplines are pretty spread out. And so when you're trying to map a conversation to a particular kind of information, this is a really handy view because you're able to calculate effectively distance between your conversation point and the centroid point of the body of information that you're comparing it to. So say you have something that could be a healthcare related question. So that's going to be compared to its nearest neighbors, and hopefully that's going to be healthcare. And then that will rapidly join together and tag, this is a piece of healthcare information. And from there, you can drill down and expand the healthcare option specifically to get more accurate positions within a healthcare. Is this a back problem? Is this a neck problem? Kind of more going from the levels of generality to the specificity.
Yep.
So that first view was quite spread out. So you can see the topics are all spread out, but chances are when you have a conversation, it's not going to fall neatly into one of those areas. And even if it does, that's not going to be very useful to you because it's going to be so generic.
So Marcus, this is I guess for the noobs here, myself included, a way of, I guess, visualizing different sorts of data sets to understand what exactly, because I guess it's a little bit esoteric to me.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I should have. This was why I wanted to prepare better, wasn't okay, so basically I am trying to classify conversations. This could be like a chatbot interaction. This could be memory for a self-learning AI framework. Basically, you want to be able to really quickly track down what's being said, what does it link to, what is it relevant to. And this ties in very strongly with agent memory, where you need a really rapid way to link things up that can happen almost instantly because it's using GIS techniques that have been solved for decades and basically just applying them in a new discipline. So GIS is solved the things that it solved extremely well. So the challenge is trying to represent what you need it to do, which in this case is find a matching piece of information quickly, and then find a way to make it fit that model. So this visualization, each point is a concept, but it's a concept in three-dimensional space. So it's in context with the rest of the conversation as opposed to the word on its own. Typically, this would be done using hundreds or thousands of dimensions, which, as I've discovered, are basically just an entire row of a table chained together to give you all of the information that you need. So, for example, it's not just a dog, it's my dog that lives here and is this, it is this age. There's a lot more information that's there that then can be easily demonstrated and can be easily shared. And so that's why you use a higher dimension. But that makes it harder to use calculations to determine what things match to it. What I'm trying to do is to bring it down to lower dimensions, in this case, 3 dimensions. And from there, you can perform calculations much, much faster than you would be able to otherwise, which lets you accurately do things like memory in real time. And it's a really good visualization both of how an agent thinks, how it recalls information, and it also can act as a pseudo governance framework that sits on top of your other rules layers to give you another layer of protection that's effectively just using the stack that you already have. Like if you're already using PG Vector, you don't actually have to do anything here. You just add another embedding model on top of that, and some points in a database. It's very straightforward and extensible.
Hey Marcus, we'll just try to bring this one into land. There's one question there in the chat from Rongamai. Is this about a semantic compression?
Effectively, yes, it is about semantic compression. It's basically about instead of trying to compress, like this is 368 dimensions into 3, you're compressing it into an endless number of individual projection systems. So basically, lots of sets of 3 dimensions stacked on top of each other, rather than your 300, 400 or thousands of vectors. Sorry, Chris, I realize this is too tricky.
It's all good. We'll definitely have to.
I'll come back with a better, more intelligible demo. Sorry, I've had a very long day.
It's all good. It's all good. It's very impressive, mate. Like what you've got here is clearly a lot of the thoughts going on.
Anyway, I just let the demo go of it because it just it looks cool.
All right, cool. Well, thanks very much. And our last speaker today is Dr. Paul Duignan, a good friend of mine and a friend of the group. So, mate, you've become a builder now, amongst your other many hats that you wear. So excited to see what you've cooked up today.
Great, thanks, Chris. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, mate.
And
Can't see you though.
I'm just leaving. I told you I got smashed up in a mountain bike crash, and okay. Yeah, you got
smashed up by a mountain bike. Yeah, good. Good.
Can you see? I'm trying to share screen. Can you
yes,
see?
Mate. Yeah,
cool.
Gotcha.
And good moment. So that should be full screen. Yeah, cool. Okay, hey, thanks very much for the opportunity to talk to you guys. Very interesting presentations. There's so much in there, so much depth in what people are talking about, and I can sort of get a feel. You get a feel for what's behind it and how that could be really useful. Okay, I'm talking about a thing called DoView boards, which is a new lightweight innovation in planning. I'm trying to really basically reinvent planning. So I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm a few things, a clinical psychologist. I've just written a book called Surfing AI, which is about the psychological and social impacts of AI, trying to reinvent a new language for talking about AI in a different way from the technical language. And if you just search for Surfing AI, you find that on the net. I've also, in addition to clinical psychology, I've had a huge amount of experience, massive amount of experience doing every single aspect of planning, ranging from, international organizations, the IMF, through to government departments. And I've done every phase of the planning process for organizations, initiatives, and policies, and done a whole lot of stuff about how you measure stuff, how you identify outcomes, how you evaluate programs. So I sort of have been, for many, many years, right across that whole area. Just generally thinking about what I'm on about. Basically, I do psychology. I'm interested in what I call AI shock, because I think there's, from a psychological perspective, there's a social and a personal shock. And I'm starting to see in my clinical psychology practice various sort of things emerging in regard to, basically Claude addiction, people not sleeping, also people freaking out because they think their jobs are going to disappear. So that's part of my clinical practice and sort of relates to my book. But what I'm talking about tonight is sort of really an entirely different area, which is around what I call outcome strategy. My sort of tagline is using psychological toughness and faster visual planning tools to confront the shock of the new, for what it's worth. If you look at my main consulting sites, drpool.online. Okay, DoView boards are based on an earlier app. So basically, I've been doing this planning for 20 to 30 years. And as a psychologist, I'm always trying to make it easier. There's this thing called cognitive load. So most planning, most government agencies and many organizations do, I think, is hopelessly archaic. The cognitive load of it is madly way too high. There should be a much easier way of doing it. So as part of that work, I developed a little app which is called DoView, and it won what's called Gartner Cool Vendor status. I'm not sure if you guys know, some will know about it, but basically they look at all the world's software, and they if the thing is any good, they give you what's called Cool Vendor status, and that software is used in 55 countries. It's now a legacy app, ran on a Mac and a PC. But no longer it's up on the web, but no longer is it up to date. So, but if you go to my website, see this doviewplanning.org. If you just go to doviewplanning.org, you'll find a whole lot of work there of building this particular type of diagram, which is now what DoView boards does. And you, like, for instance, you'll find a PDF version, PowerPoint version there of one for OpenAI and a whole lot of different companies like Anthropic, etc. And then you'll also find a model for the whole of the New Zealand government visualized, a drill down model visualized. That was in PowerPoint at that stage. But now what I've done is basically imported this over using Claude and ChatGPT into an HTML app, which we'll talk about. Okay, cool. Now, the innovation in DoView boards, there's basically two innovations. First, the outcomes focus. It's a planning tool, but most planning tools, sorry about that, this is going kind of weird. But maybe, as you say, the outcomes focus. So most tools are outputs focused. Most planning tools, like Microsoft Project, etc., are really great at looking at outputs. But the tool I've developed starts from outcomes, which is the higher conceptual level of what we're trying to change in the world. And then you drill down and you get to outputs, but not a lot of planning tools identify outcomes. And that's what this tool is designed to do. The second innovation is they deal with all of this stuff. They deal with actually 17 different areas which need to be answered about any organization. So if you're looking at any organization, there's basically 17 different questions you have to be able to answer. But they deal with outcomes, prioritization, alignment, delegation, contracting, accountabilities, performance measurement, evaluating impact, reporting, and improvement. And as I say, I've done, done practical work for agencies in New Zealand and around the world in regard to all of those things. Okay, so the idea is it's all based around a visualization of an outcomes model. And an outcomes model is a this-then diagram, which says if we do certain kinds of things, what comes after that, after we do them. So it's based entirely on a visual outcomes model, which is really what my work is focused on doing. And I've built a lot of these for government agencies and others in the past. So there's 3 types of pages within a DoView board. The first is a this-then diagram page that shows a visual representation of the high-level outcomes. And it's just a box diagram page. It says, do stuff on the left or make stuff happen on the right-hand side. I'll show you an example. Secondly, so the first is this-then pages. The second type of pages is how pages, which is much more at the output level. What is actually we're going to do? So the first this-then diagram page was, what do we want to happen in the world as a causal model? And then secondly, we then look at how pages, which how will it be done? And these, you can see these really as like project planning pages, the how pages. But the key point is, because we have it inside the one app, we can link these things up in a way which most other planning can't do. And then lastly, there's a third type of page called a documentation page. And that's for any type of documentation. Now, for a simple project, all you need is a DoView board, because you don't delve into a lot of depth. So say you're planning a trip, and there will be examples of these up on the, if you look at doviewplanning.org/DoView boards, I'm just setting those pages up, there will be examples. So for simple projects, all you need is a board and just a single DoView board, and you can sort of deal with a high level and a lower level of planning. For more complex projects, like an organization, a government department or something, you want to see the DoView board is sitting above project planning. So it's talking about outcomes, and then it could terminate at the end of projects, and you could just use the URL of a project planning pages, so you link out from those projects. So you don't waste any project planning work you do. This is very much sitting above project planning from the point of view of any complex project. Now, there's these 17 questions, which if you go up to doviewplanning.org/DoView boards, you can click through and you can find the 17 questions, and they show in detail how DoView boards will answer those questions. And the key point is that for many organizations, every government department in Wellington in the world, I can guarantee that they don't have a way of quickly answering those questions. They have multiple documentation and strategic plans, and they have performance indicators, and they have spreadsheets of indicators, and they have all sorts of stuff. But I can pretty much guarantee none of them can have one single source of truth where you can answer all of those questions. So the idea is that DoView boards are the single source of truth. So at the moment, say a minister plans something, they will talk about priorities to officials, and then that'll turn into some sort of plan. And then this will cascade all the way down a government agency until it gets to contracting level where there's deliverables. But there'll be different documentation at different levels, right? And there's often a lack of alignment. I've seen, anyone involved in government would have seen these multiple layers. The same thing will be in the case of big organizations.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
Let's get to the good stuff.
Okay. Yeah, well, I just want to give you the background. Okay. So the point about DoView boards is that AI, the key point, I used to build these manually. And the point about what I've done now is created a way of just with 2 prompts, which would be available for anyone to use. You just put it into ChatGPT, you put these 2 prompts, 2 files into ChatGPT. One's a Java file, one's just a prompt, and it will then build the DoView board for you. Okay, so the draft can be built, and then you can edit it. Is the point. As the DoView boards are just a normal HTML page you can use in any browser, so you don't have to download an app. It's a completely open system. Anyone can build them, can train on them, consult on them, use them in any way that they like. You just have to acknowledge they're using them. And you can't build it at the moment because the prompts aren't up there, but in a week or so they will be up there for you to grab the prompts and go and throw them into your AI and build one of these things I'm showing. It takes about 10 minutes for the AI to build one. Okay, so it's all at doviewplanning.org, DoView boards. I put in the chat one you can actually click through, the one I'm going to talk to now. So I'll just change where I am. Just let me turn that off. Just going to share screen yet. Basically, I just want to change my screen I am sharing, stop presenting, and I'll just move to a different screen. Just give me my. Okay, so there we go there. Does that come up now, Chris?
Nope. Yes.
Yeah.
We're there.
Just give me a moment. I'm just going to turn that
You
off.
got it.
We got it. So that we're on that now. You can see that now, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So this is what a DoView board looks like. So this is just, all of this was constructed by AI. I didn't construct any of it myself. And so this is for a generic organization, but I've run them. We can do it for any organization. Just tell the organization, it'll look on the internet to get the information, or it will look at any documents you put into it. So basically they're structured like this. So you have some idea of final outcomes. These are different pages you can drill down to. The colored pages are the this then pages, which are about the what happens in the world, and the how pages are the more at the outputs level, and you can have documentation pages. So there's 17 things this thing does. As I say, if you click on the URL, I think you better download and have a go through yourself. I'll just talk about a couple of things. So this is what a this then page looks like. So along the top, we've got various, various menu items here of things you can look up. But the main point here is here's the logic going across the page. So this is just a management page. So it starts, what do you need? Direction and governance. So this on the left, it's always like a roadmap. What do you need on the left-hand side? Purpose, mandate, board governance, decision rights, etc. And that goes across to the outcomes of what you're trying to achieve in terms of management. And we've got HR page, production page, marketing page. So this is, as I say, generic. Could be about we could build one about any kind of company. So you see we can just move through those pages. Now, just in terms of a really important thing, these things are called logic models. And if anyone's intervention logics used to government, you'll be told if you're putting in a budget bid, you've got to put in a logic model, intervention logic model. I've built lots of them. This is a way of representing a logic model, but one of the sort of cool features is there's a logic lying behind the model, which is hard to represent in a static model. But if we click on the border of what's happening here, we're clicking on the border of a box and it's showing the logic within that diagram. So here, this is here, strategy and budget cycle operating, and the box that's leading to that, the purpose, mandate, and annual priorities clarified, and that leads, and that box in turn leads to projects prioritized. So you see, we can identify the logic within what I'm doing is clicking through just on the border of the box, and we're seeing the logic. Now, if I clicked on, I won't do it now, just so I won't confuse everyone, but if I clicked on that little arrow, it would pull up a window where I could put evidence about that link, because another thing you want to do with these models is to make sure they're evidence-based. So that what we're talking about there is the causal model, the intervention logic. Then we move to, this is more at the project planning level. So here's a set of projects that organization is using in order to achieve the outcomes and the intervention logics we've been talking about. Now, one of the big things in any organization is alignment. Everybody thinks they've got alignment, but it's really hard to prove alignment, because you might have the best priorities in the world and you're implementing great projects, but are the projects the ones you should be doing? And that's what this is all about. This is one of the functions it's all about being able to establish. So if we click on this here, executive team coordinating strategy and governance. So is what they're doing sorry, I got the wrong one there. Let's talk about projects. So we've got a project here, which is board reporting and KPI dashboard redesign. So that's a project. So what is that project trying to achieve? If we go back to our management page here, you can see highlighted the boxes there that KPI board program project is trying to achieve. So see how that works there. And then what you can do is you can turn on the particular links here. So what we're seeing here is the number of projects which link onto the different boxes within the higher level model. So I won't go into it now, but you can use that to establish alignment. For instance, if you've got a box in the top model which is an A priority, you can prioritize these things along the top. But say you had a box over here that was an A priority and nothing is mapping onto it, then you know you've got a lack of alignment. Or if you have one which is not a high priority and it has a whole lot of things mapping onto it, you know you've got a lack of alignment. So that's really just looking at one function. As I said, there's 17 functions. You can put indicators on, you can put measures, you can develop evaluation plans, you can do everything that you need to. And so the vision for this, at the moment, there's all this different documentation. The vision is that in a government agency, for instance, a minister would just establish priorities onto this model. That same model would then be used all the way through to drive all the way through, right through to the contracting level, where you can actually produce a a read-only copy of the model, which could be attached to a contract. So the idea is to have that whole cycle of planning, implementation, reporting, all in the one artifact. This is an HTML structure at the moment, so it's a single file. In the future, though, because it's all open, it's kind of open sourced, I'm hoping if people wanted, I'll put the specs and the engine and everything up on GitHub, that people can just run with it and develop it and put it into any system that they like. So really, Chris, that's what I was wanting to say. If you go to doviewplanning.org/doviewboards over the next few weeks, you'll see this emerging, and then the prompts will be up there that you can build these yourself. And in the chat, I did put up, I think, and if you click on the HTML thing in the chat, you should be able to actually get into this model and play around with it.
Yep. Let's see. Did that work? The page doesn't work just now, Paul. I'm not sure if the link needs to be.
I put it on Netify, so yeah, don't worry about it. I'll
That's all right. It'll show up there on your website, right? doviewplanning.org.
It will all be up. It's not there yet, but under doviewplanning.org, and it's currently that's under /doviewboards, but it'll be on the main page in due course.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. It's amazing to see how far this has come and to see all the years of work and methodology and the books you've written on this stuff. You've done you've done a lot of strategy work for a lot of agencies here, and you've really just distilled the thinking into this. It's so exciting to see that you've become an agentic engineer. And,
yeah,
I'm so proud of you, man.
Thanks for your guidance. Yeah, I mean, this is sort of a good example of what they're saying about AI. It enables people who have ideas to translate them into reality. Last time, first time we built the app, it cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and a few years. Was I've built this on my own now, and it's obviously just the point is it's a prototype. It's a prototype, but cool. Yeah,
it's very cool. Good work, man. And yeah, like Paul said, it's all free and open and out there. So go have at it. Right. Well, I think we do have a hand up. Arjun, go for it, mate.
Yes. So I've been playing around in that similar environment a little bit too. And one of my biggest challenges in regards to using AI here is how do you get it to be deterministic? Have you used some sort of a harness so that it actually that you get predictable results? Or do you just accept that 90% of the time it will be correct, but the last 10 is still a gamble?
Yeah, very good question. Thanks very much. So basically, what I've done is I've built into the prompt my rules. So I have a very formal set of rules for drawing these models, which I've built basically thousands of them over time. So and that's encoded in a set of rules, which is now inside the prompt. So first, they as you say, they're about 90% right because of the kind of randomization factor in large language models. But the point is that with all of these things, it's all the AI is doing is producing a draft, and then the organization would go through the draft and amend it to make sure that it does represent what they're talking about. There's always, there's a few different ways of building these models about an organization. There's no absolute right one, but as long as the idea is that the organization would sit down with this and go through a workshop process, which I've done, probably hundreds of times with organizations before now, but we had to develop the draft and then make it right. But now we have the working draft, which is about 80-90% right. And then the exciting thing about this is within this app, which is produced by the AI, you can edit it. So all of this stuff is editable. Completely. If you just click on it, you can edit all the stuff. You can edit. So basically, you produce the draft, and then the organization edits it until it gets it right, and then that forms the base document, the base DoView board for them to work from.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks.
But there's a lot of IP in the back of this. So I mean, if you just go to AI and say, "Hey, build me some sort of logic model," it'll build some random thing. there's a huge amount of IP in this, of vast numbers of years of experience about mistakes people make in terms of building these diagrams. That's the whole point about integration. You know, if you do it this way, I can guarantee that every single step in the planning process, that the thing will be fit for purpose. With most other systems, someone just worked them up to do one of the functions of planning, and they kind of don't work when you get to some other function of planning.
Thank you.
Hey, Paul, do you mind if I steal the show for a minute?
Yeah, go.
So I've been working with Paul for a little while on this stuff. So I'm gonna steal the share off you, and I'm going to do the entire screen over here. There we go. So what you're looking at here, some of you have seen this already. I've been showing this around. So this is a diagramming tool, which is also sort of more of a data view of what's behind the diagrams and models that you're creating. So this is a knowledge graph that has a bunch of different data sets in it, organized by collections, and within collections we have sets, within sets we have packages, and then diagrams within those, and then those diagrams are comprised of a number of different elements which are all stitched together and have relationships. So you can see here that this collection of DoView models has a bunch of things within it. So we can zoom in and we can see New Zealand government has all these things inside of it. And I'll choose one, right? Let's go with Department of Conservation. We zoom in on that. Let me go back one step. We'll go into New Zealand government. There we go. So we can see all of these kind of groups of things. And so where were we? I'll just zoom into here. We were saying conservation, right? Department of Conservation has a bunch of diagrams within it. And we can see, where is it? It's gone. Come on. Right. So that's not showing up very well in dark mode, but you've got a DoView, right? And I just wanted to show kind of the depth to which Paul's gone. We've got, here's one for Ministry of Development and Social Development. You know what I'll do? I'm just gonna turn dark mode off because that's really quite hard to look at. We'll go back to light mode. That's better. So just like what Paul was showing you there, you can drill in and out of these things, and we've got New Zealand Department of what's this one? The DPMC is here. We've got the Public Service is here, and you haven't done this for shits and giggles, say, like you've actually done it for all these organizations. So there's a lot there to discover, and a lot of value in the work that you've done. So I just wanted to sort of go beyond the sort of micro level to just go into the macro level of the body of work. Yeah. So
thanks, Chris. Yeah. So I just see my work as basically the theory and doing a prototype, and then what Chris is doing is pushing at the next level, which is, can this be integrated right across government, etc. All I got to on that stage was sort of building PowerPoints, but we want it to be integrated into systems. So kind of there's room for people to work at multiple levels and do what they like with it. Because exciting times. Are you there? Can you hear me, Chris?
geez, I'll just ramble on again. Thank you. Thanks. We'll draw it to a close. Thanks very much to all the speakers. We'll be back in a month. If you've got anything you'd like to share or present, please hit us up. You know where to find us. And yeah, we look forward to the next one.
Chris, I just put that link in the Agentics WhatsApp. Maybe it'll work in there if people want to look at it. But that should open this model in theory, the HTML model. Just if you do, just don't circulate because it's just a it's still the version number. It still isn't totally optimized. But if you have any play around with it any way you like.
Yep, I've just jumped that there. Yep, Tangerine Caramel Netlify. Look at you.
Did that open up?
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, good, cool. Yeah, there was something about Google Meet, I think, was maybe not allowing it.
Good stuff. All right, all good, great work, and thanks again. We'll see you all next time.
Oh, Chris, could I just say thank you for putting this on? I've really enjoyed this. There's been such a diverse amount of different fields and domains in this tonight, and I've really enjoyed it. I can't speak for everyone, but like I've got a lot out of this. So thank you to you and to all the speakers and everyone who works in AFNZ. So thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Oh, that's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. Awesome.
Thanks.
Cheers. See you next time.